All right, we apologize for that particular writing, person of interest. On Tuesday, we do normally have person of interest, but today we're going to do it a little bit different on what we'd like to call Interactive Tuesday. And this is a section within Morning Express where we'd like to talk about some of the things that are affecting us as a country and give you an opportunity also to participate and let us know what your feelings and your thoughts are regarding that as we try and shape and look for solutions. And this morning, I'd like to introduce our panel before I let you know what we're going to be talking about exactly. We do have to my immediate left, Jennifer Karina, who is an author of Marriage Built to Last and also a relationship coach. Good to have you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Mike.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Okay. And we also have Esther Kinodia, who's a counseling psychologist. Good morning and good to have you too.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, there has been a sudden increase, or maybe it's not an increase, maybe there are more reports of family members killing each other. And not just family members. Remember yesterday in the Standard, on Crazy Mondays, we had an article on the pullout which was written, why wives would kill their husbands or something to that effect. And there were 4 women who are there. Some are being charged with actually killing their husbands. Others have been charged with attempting. Others have maybe thought about it. But we also have husbands who kill their wives. And we're going to show you a story of a brother who's killed his brother. And of course, the discussion we want to find out this morning is, why have we become such an angry society? Look at our schools. Nowadays, the mode of communication seems to be burning down schools as opposed to just talking to one another. So of course we're going to be having that discussion. We'll open up the phone lines for you to let us know what your feelings are and your thoughts are, and more importantly, solutions. That's what we're looking for. But first, let's look at this story that we ran on our news earlier on for the benefit of those who may not have watched it, just to give you an idea of what is going on and why we need to have this discussion.
The late Dixon Githinji was last seen alive on the 29th of June at a drinking joint in Likia Shopping Centre. He took the initiative of his colleagues at a construction site to launch a manhunt in Likia Centre and neighboring villages. According to neighbors, the late Githinji, aged 35, had questioned his elder brother over his recent behavior of selling household items belonging to the late mother. The issue allegedly developed bad blood between the 2 siblings for several weeks, preceding his sudden disappearance and killing.
Hata chakula alikuwa nakulia hapa ndani. Sijui hiyo mtu ni aina gani, kwa sababu hakukuwa anasikia harufu. Alikuwa nakula chakula tu.
Githinji's body had deep cuts on his neck and head, with a possible use of an axe as the murder weapon. It is alleged that the brother killed him and buried him right under his bed and covered it with sacks and timber.
Tukaingia huku kwa mashamba, kwa shimo, haonekani. Tukaenda mtoni, haonekani. Sasa kwenda mtoni, na ndugu yake tu ndiye anatuelekeza wapi? Mtoni. Lakini yeye hataki, hata ukimuita ukiwa pale nje, anatoka haraka kwa nyumba na anafunga mura, lakini hataki uingie kwa nyumba gani? Hii nyumba.
The body of the deceased was discovered by church members who had decided to search for the body in the compound.
Tukachukua kijiti, tukaweka ndani. Kuweka ndani hiyo kijiti inaenda mpaka hapa. Tukasema na hapa kuna kitu. Tukachukua njebe, tukalimalima. Kulimalima ndio makaratasi ilianza kutoka. Nikawaambia wasee, kujeni mimi siwezi.
Hata yenyewe nilimkuta pahali alikuwa anakunywa pombe. Hata mimi ni mkunywaji. Nikamununulia. Kumununulia, mimi hata sijui, nikamuuliza mbona uko na stress hivi? Kaniambia hapana. Mimi nikaachana Kurudi kazini ndio nilisikia ate Githinji ameenda kutafutwa. Yenyewe nikiwa kwa kazi yangu ni hapa hivi. Nikaangalia hapa kwa shamba, nikaona wamama
security officers na wametusaidia sana. In fact, vile wanaambia wasaidii, kwa upande wetu tumeona wametusaidia.
The suspect is currently being held by police together with 2 other accomplices. Police are still in pursuit of other suspects who are believed to have aided in the killing. The manner in which Dixon Githinji was murdered is one that has left the entire Likia village in shock, begging the question, where is the society heading to and what has become of our morals? Victor Ogale, KTN News, Nakuru County.
So there you go. A brother kills his own brother, buries him under the bed, and, well, for 2 weeks, nobody knows where he is. His brother is literally spending the night and sleeping there, maybe eating there, but what has become of us? So that's a discussion we're going to have this morning. And remember, you're welcome to call. We're going to be displaying the phone numbers as we go along. But let me start with you, Jennifer Karina. And have we become a more angry society?
Well, that's rather sad. But one of the things that I recognize, Mike, is that this is not something that has not happened in the generations beyond. It has happened before and continues to happen. But what I would say is that we have become a very individualistic society where we are no longer so much concerned about the other person. Usually, when a murder is about to happen, the people around you will notice, one, that you are not of emotional health, or I think in that there's a level of instability. Now, when we say we are an angry society, one of the things I recognize is that, yes, the stress levels with modernization, without the support of the family fabric, causes a lot of anxiety and anger, depending on where you are at. Now, anger is expressed either inwardly or outwardly. That kind of a person may have committed suicide because they're angry with themselves. But in this case, the anger was directed towards the victim who he killed. And there's a reason why he did it, because he was either angry with him because of inheritance issues or because of something committed. Now, why kill? I'm reminded, it's not too long ago where the newspapers covered about the emotional health of Kenyans.
Correct.
And they cited that out of every 10 Kenyans, 4 of them suffer mental health issues. Now, mental health is a big thing, but because of the stigma that is associated to mental health, many people tend to ignore it. You kill because you are not of mental health or you have some serious emotional challenges. Yes.
All right, and just in case you're joining us now, just like to look at some of the article that we had yesterday in the Standard, in the pullout, Murder, She Wrote, Why Our Wife Planned to Kill You. And we have ladies who've been put there, Charity Wamboichege, Pauline Gitonga, Bill Hanjoki, and these are women who are accused of either killing their husbands or plotting to kill their husbands. And of course, as a result, we thought it's necessary to have this discussion, because if indeed we are an angry society, then we need solutions. When we look at the mode of communication that we have, even when it comes to our schools, to our children, to our society, do we need to improve that? Let me now bring in Esther Kinuthia, who's a counseling psychologist, and ask you the same question. Are we an angrier society?
I wouldn't say that we can accurately say that, but I think the dynamics of society has changed. As Jennifer says, there's a lot of individualistic ways of living. So the fabric of family that is usually the base of emotional support seems to be, fading off. So people have issues that they're dealing with on their own. And there's only so much you can handle before reaching your breaking point. And so we have situations where without the moral support of the family environment, people break, and then we have incidences of such outbursts of anger.
Okay. So Jennifer, what then would be the cause that we're becoming individualistic? Is it maybe the fact that our lifestyle today has just changed and forces us to be more of individuals than communities?
Yes, it's lifestyles. This is the season. Times and seasons change. This is the time of industrialization. People are working. Women are busy. They are taking care not only of the home, they also need to bring the bread home. And so people have moved away from living in communal life. People are living independently. When you have communal lifestyles like we lived in the past, there is support from everyone that is around you, the relatives that are around you. But now you find your partner, you get into your apartment, you live there. So it's very easy to fall prey of bad behavior. For example, the reason of these murders stems from domestic violence.
Correct.
Because now when you're on your own and you're abusive, then you continue abusing your partner. Now, when you are within a family setup, your grandmother, your mother, your auntie, your cousins, you can do that because somebody will hold you accountable. But when you continue being on your own and you're not accountable to anyone, then there are a couple of things that you miss out. You miss out on guidance, you miss out on accountability, you miss out on being given direction, and you miss out on learning what is the most important thing in life and simply express that which you are feeling. Mainly, I think one of the greatest challenges in relationships is domestic violence that has not been addressed, that finds a challenge even in being able to be reported to the police because it's domestic. What happened? My husband is beating me, that's domestic. You can sort it out. So it doesn't get the
due attention.
That it deserves, and it leaves people frustrated. Actually, what amazed me is that it's not just women that suffer domestic violence. There are many, many men that suffer domestic violence, but they don't know what to do because they are embarrassed to step out and say that they're abused by their partners.
Yes, and culturally you feel like you would be less of a man if especially you admitted that your wife was battering you.
Yes.
Let me come to you, Esther, and something Jennifer has mentioned is two things. One, to do with mental health, but secondly, our value system. And yes, we are in a busy world right now. Things have changed, our lifestyle has changed, but is that a good enough excuse for us to completely fall out of our moral fiber and fabric that kept us together?
Value system, Mike, is still acquired from a basis of a family environment. So I think that still goes back to the fact that these value systems may be fading off because of the change of the family environment. And then there is, then again, there is the westernization and a lot of industrialization, and there's a shift of lifestyle. So then trying to merge the traditional value system with the modern value system, and where do you draw the line, and where do you draw the boundaries? And then comes what do you define as right and wrong? Becomes the question and becomes a challenge.
Okay. Jennifer, now, in terms of relationships, when we look at some of these, okay, we have the story of the brother who has killed his brother and literally buried him under his bed for 2 weeks, which leaves you wondering what is going on in his mind. But secondly, you have people who have come together and claim to love one another. And they're the same people that turn against one another. But let me take a call before I want you to think on that and hold that thought and what happens. But we have Collins. Good morning, Collins. Collins from Nyamira. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
I want to comment on that.
Uh-huh.
In fact, what I've seen there, a brother killing his own brother, that's something that has happened since, and so many incidents have been happening since that.
So many things
now
have been...
human beings, I can say they have changed, they are not human beings anymore.
Okay.
They are like animals. We don't care about our brothers. We don't care about our sisters. We don't care about our mother and father. In fact, I'm wondering what is happening.
Okay.
But what I can add, many Kenyans right away, is that they should change that habit and in fact follow what the Bible says.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Collins. Thank you. Well, Collins, they're depicting what we have become. We've become like animals, basically defining what we're saying, that our social and moral fiber has completely been degraded. But coming back to that, Jennifer, people that once loved one another, people that claimed, and this is somebody who you'd expect is the one that covers your back. What happens? You get to a point where that same person is so enraged, they want you dead.
Thank you, Mike. Now, just before that, I'm reminded of Cain and Abel. In the days of the Bible, a brother killing a brother.
Correct.
So it's not something...
It's nothing new.
It's nothing new. These are, energies of jealousy that have been there. But coming to this passion, love for one another, and the person supposed to watch your back is the one killing you. Mike, passion drives a relationship. And when you are in love with someone, there are certain expectations of them. You expect them, yes, to watch your back, to be there for you, to make you happy, and that together you become one. That's the expectation. It doesn't always happen. And sometimes there are various reasons why you would end up that way. But one, when you are in love with someone, the passion, the hormone, the love hormone, the dopamines are very high. Now, what a researcher, Helen Keller, said about the love season, when you're really in love with someone, that really opened my mind about why love can be very dangerous. In fact, you're better off with someone that you really don't have that passion for. Because she said that when these lovers are in their height of loving, they produce hormones that are equivalent to a dose of heroin. This is based on research.
This is at the point where now they love one another.
They love one another.
Okay.
Now, as this continues to fade, it doesn't always go away. It does come and go. But lovers become very inadequate without one another. It's a syndrome called Siamese twins. I mean, you've got to be with me. We've got to think this together. We have to work together. So if there's a threat that you want to walk away, you want to leave me, either because I don't treat you well or you found somebody else, then it means my life will come to an end without you. So I'd rather kill you than live a life without you. It's a weakness. It's based on fear of the unknown and the unexpected. Because there is no way I can continue living life without my lover or without my husband or without my wife. As a result, you start scheming. If you really want to leave me, then I'll get rid of you.
Wow. Let me come to you, Esther. What happens that somebody gets to that tilting point? I remember talking to somebody and he was saying that all of us have a degree of madness, and maybe you'd agree that or disagree, I don't know. But apparently when you're in that fit of rage, within a very short period of time, you're capable of doing anything. And how you deal with it at that point matters. If you walk away, you may just, escape killing someone. Others don't walk away. What is it that happens within that period of time that you're in that lunacy, that you do things you never expected yourself to do?
There are different reasons, or different kinds of killers in this situation where we're talking about a love relationship. And to start with, we always say most of it, when you're getting into a relationship, you have to have two whole individuals. You can't have two broken individuals making a relationship. So that's the first thing.
When you say you need to have two whole individuals, what does that mean?
Two healthy, two emotionally healthy individuals who have individual identities that they're comfortable with. So you're not seeking somebody else to complete your sense of identity, which is what Jennifer is talking about. Sometimes you have that Siamese twin feeling that without you, I'm not complete.
Right.
And then when it comes to the murders, when it comes to the killers, there are different categories, again, classified through research, especially of people who are in prison in different countries who have committed murder and crimes of passion. There's a temper tantrum killer who basically is your typical person of who killed because they had a rage of anger. Fist of rage, and they threw a temper and picked a knife, picked a gun and shot and stabbed. And then you have your narcissistic killer, someone who just generally enjoys causing misery to other people.
The people who actually enjoy...
Yes, so it's not about, I was angry, it's not a fit of rage, it's a partner is leaving and you feel that they cannot be happy. You need to make sure that they're never happy again without you. Then you have situations where you have a sociopathic killer, which basically goes back to the mental health. So these are people most of the time with underlying mental issues that were probably never noted, and if they were noted, they were not, keen interest or not taken. And, you justify a lot of small actions. People in the inner circles notice, but, you sweep it under the carpet. And then one day there's this major thing that happens.
Okay, I'll come back to you on possibly some of the things one should look out as signs, when maybe one is getting there. Because like now, if you look at the story we've just run of the brother, majority of them say he was a very humble, quiet somebody. So are there signs that come up? I'll come to you on that. But Jennifer, you are the author of Marriage That Lasts. And I would imagine within the book, you have written a chapter on finding somebody who is whole or finding somebody who is suitable. How does one go about that?
Well, it's important to find a suitable person. And, in the olden days, people were found for you. Why? Because families is what determines your genealogy. Usually, mental health is a genealogical matter. Meaning, if in your family you have mental health issues, then you too may have mental health and your children will have mental health. Now, we meet people in the city. You meet people where you're working. So you really don't know them, whether they are whole or where they're coming from.
Right.
It is very important to have a relationship for a while with someone, get to know who they are, who their people are, and just generally their wellness. So as a result, relationships are formed from the wholeness of a person. How do you know whether a person is whole or not? It's obvious. Generally, when you extremely jealous. If you see me speak to somebody else, you are violent about it. And let me tell you, these people that marry the wrong person know it at the dating level, but they stay on for only one reason. I know they will change. I know when I marry them, they'll be different. I know when we get our first child, they will change. They never change. As a matter of fact, what happens is that the stress within the relationship causes them to react even further and causes even more serious psychological effects.
So does that mean then one needs to flee when you notice any of these signs?
When you're falling in love, fleeing is not a word that comes very easily.
True.
Yes, because you're caught in a web of love. I think what is very important is to have people around you who you trust and who, when they say, I think this is off, that you can listen. Because many times the victim or the person that is in love sees all the signs and they don't attend to it. However, there are those that are with you that can be able to say, I think that here you need to be careful. Because generally, people that are violent begin at the dating level. And these people are beaten. They sleep in hospital. Crazy things are done to them. But what they seek is reunion with these partners. And they don't care about what happens during the dating season. And so I would say that if you really want to have a marriage that is built to last, you have to date right. And you need to marry the right person, because you cannot change the wrong person to be the right person within the context of marriage. It's rather late.
All right. Esther, we talked about the signs, and from what Jennifer is mentioning, those signs probably are there maybe at a limited level during your courtship or the time people are dating. And you've talked about things to do with obsession, you've talked about with things to do with jealousy. Now, once you're in the relationship and in the marriage, and I say relationship here because some are not married per se, but they are lovers. Are there signs that one can look out for and tell that this now is going beyond normal and anything could happen?
Let's say God gave every human being instinct. Instinct is that thing that is supposed to safeguard you and I. And that is something, and people's, I think the reason why we human beings sometimes have a problem talking about instinct is because it doesn't have evidence. Instinct operates in the absence of facts. So when you're talking to people, it's difficult to say, I feel, because feeling is, it's easier to say, this is a flower vase because I can see it. You can't quantify instinct and you can't give evidence. Then it's very easy for people to shrug off what you're saying. So number one, follow your instinct. By the time you get evidence, it's a bit late. So instinct is your God-given gut feeling that allows you to know when you need to flee. So if your instinct tells you to run, run.
Run.
Yes.
Okay.
And then secondly, just small things like how do you feel when you interact with this particular person? There are people you interact with and you always walk out of there feeling bad. They always bring some negative energy. And as Jennifer is saying, you cannot quite change people. So if you're always feeling bad about yourself after interacting with somebody, leave. Thirdly, people who are very dependent, and dependency almost always goes hand in hand with self-esteem and self-worth and self-identity. It almost comes as a package. So again, low self-esteem is for me something that is important to watch out for. Yeah, because most of the time low self-esteem means your sense of worth is low.
It's wanting.
And is wanting.
Okay.
And then that means don't feel like a complete person, like you're whole. So you're looking for identity from somebody else. So what if this somebody else that you feel completes you and gives you identity one day tells you they want to leave?
Okay. And for those of us who are watching from wherever you are, maybe at home, the office, wherever you might be, remember you're welcome to call. Maybe you've also been in a situation where you felt that fit of rage and the only thing that stopped you maybe is the fact that you walked away. Let us know what that was all about. Or maybe you'd like to changia and say what you agree with or maybe disagree with. Jennifer, you've talked about people dating for a while before you actually now commit yourselves to each other. How long is a while and how does one tell?
Well, a while is, in my books, that you need to have at least dated for a year.
A year is a good time.
A year is a good time to have dated for, minimum. And basically, you know, there's dating and courtship. So you can date someone, and when now it comes to courtship, it's a level where you involve parents. You know, it's not just, yeah, we are dating. Now courtship.
This is now public. Everybody knows.
Everybody knows. And accountability at the courtship level is very important because that is where now everybody knows that you have a relationship with someone that is intended to end up in marriage. That means that both of you are actually held accountable by those that you have told to see that you're walking a journey of purpose concerning the area of marriage. During that time, parents, relatives, friends have the right to give a feedback on your partner. And they may know something that you don't know. And that's why it's important to make it public. And when you do that, then you walk that journey and then eventually get married, maybe a year after. So if you've dated a year, if you didn't know one another, it depends. Maybe some people went to school together. So they really had a relationship of friendship. Because bottom line, it's always about creating a relationship based on the foundation of trust and friendship.
Okay.
Yes.
Are there things that one can do within the relationship just to try and see, what would I call them, tolerance levels Because at the end of the day, this probably comes out because one has really gotten so annoyed they cannot, for you to kill somebody, and like the story I was referring to of a lady in Umoja, I believe it was, that stabbed her boyfriend 21 times.
Yes.
That's somebody who's really angry. Whether with life, with a boyfriend, one might argue it may not even just be anger towards the boyfriend, but it could be a host of things.
Yes.
Are there things that you can put as testers?
Let me put it this way. You know, murder is not something simple. And anger, everyone experiences an explosion of anger at some point or other in the relationship, whatever relationship. What is important to look out for is exceptional anger. Yes, you're angry, but what do you do when you're angry? I know that people get angry and destroy everything in the house. There are people that are called drama kings or drama queens.
Right.
Now, the drama queen or drama king, when they are angry, they dramatize.
Everything.
Sofa set like this will not have another day. The knife will cut and they will destroy every suit of yours. As good as this is, if you're married to a drama queen, you probably are in the shop every month looking for a new suit. Now, if you have someone that you're dating and they are a drama queen or king, you need to rethink, because that is not normal. They have unresolved conflicts within themselves that need a doctor. So what I will say this again, Mike. People ignore the signs. The signs are written on the wall. You see them all the time. I'm 15 minutes late for a date. I won't even find you. You're so mad you've walked away. It's about personality and character. You need to find out what kind of a person is this. What's their character? Of course, you are not going to test them and do things so that
just to annoy them,
so that you see their levels of tolerance. Their levels of tolerance will present themselves.
There are natural situations that will come to
exactly.
Put it on the test.
Well, you know, when we say don't yoke yourself with an unbeliever, it's simple. You really need to find someone that has your values, your faith, your culture. You know, you have a bond that goes beyond the love. No love will sustain a relationship. It's about the character, the personality, their values, their beliefs. And so based on all that, then they will be in control of their temperaments. Their character will be noble because of who they are. You want to know a man? Look at his father. Look at his mother. Look at his brother. These things are not isolated. Look at the environment that they have grown up in. You can never really remove yourself from who you really are and those that have brought you up. They say, if you really want to know someone, look at the 5 friends that they hang around with.
Show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are.
Exactly.
Comes to place.
Exactly.
All right, Esther. On the article that was in the Standard yesterday, 2 of the main things that are brought out as a cause for wives killing their husbands. One is infidelity. Yet, this is not anything new. Infidelity has been there, so killing really is not a solution. Number 2 is to do with finances, money. Some maybe want to inherit the money, and as a result, the only way they can see that happening is by this man moving out of their way. What has made us get to that point in terms of our value system? Let's start with infidelity. Why is it, first of all, on the increase? And secondly, why is it such a big thing to a point where if you're going to be unfaithful to me, I'd rather you die?
It goes back to 2 things, the person and the context in which the person lives in. So for one to feel that you really need to kill someone to get property or wealth from them, I think you actually have a problem, because money is something any individual is capable of making. So I think that's more a personal character challenge. And then there's also, and then again, a psychological mindset of limitation. Because really, if you are sober enough to think about it, there are very many other ways you can acquire wealth. You know, you can work for wealth because wealth comes and goes. So even if you are waiting to inherit wealth, you could also lose that wealth as a couple, and you have nothing to inherit.
Right.
So again, for me, it takes me back to the mental framework of the person who feels that the only way they can have property is through this one particular individual, and so they have to get rid of this individual to get the money. When it comes to infidelity, I think there are very many, perceptions towards this. Looking back to the cultural context, there was polygamy was allowed. You could look at it in the modern context as infidelity, but it was allowable.
It was culturally allowed.
Yes, exactly. So it was acceptable. I always wonder, and I think from a human perspective, it was not a piece of cake. It was not something that any...
You wake up and, everything is okay.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and it's not something that, because any woman would enjoy to have, 3 more, 4 more women brought to your homestead. But because the confines considered it acceptable, then I think it limited what you could do within the confines of the rules that that regulated that. In the modern day, in as much as polygamy is allowed in terms of by law, I think there's a more feeling of empowerment. I know my rights. I know what I deserve. So then I think the approach differs from the cultural context where a woman knew it would be nice if I was the only wife, but culturally, bringing other wives, it's acceptable. Now we know it's acceptable, but I think the mental shift of my rights, my worth, have changed how we react to issues. Yeah.
Okay. Jennifer, looking at now the history, and like she has rightly put it, in the olden times, that's something that was acceptable, and because society accepted, then it was something norm, but now that has changed. What's the link between the fact that at that time it was acceptable and now not being acceptable, to a point where now where we're getting, it's not just not acceptable, but I will not have you live, if that's what's going to happen?
Well, Mike, when you get into the relationship, there is an agreement, a covenant, that you will be faithful to me, that you will live with me and only me, that you will love me, you will honor me, that your property will be my property. There is a beginning, all right? And now, it's not, I can't compare myself and the modern woman today with my mother or my grandmother. One, because they did not have the empowerment of the modern woman. When polygamy was practiced and was successful, it was simple because a woman was plainly a nurturer. She was a caregiver to bring up the children, to take care of her husband, to take care of the home. Now, today, a woman is a career woman. As a matter of fact, the career woman could be more progressive than the man she has married. So actually, the man is the one who should be home taking care of the children anyway. But together, they form the union of the family. There is a certain expectation that you'll be faithful to me, and you have honored that. Now, when you don't honor that, you shake the foundation of the marriage. Even as Esther says that the money is not important. For her, she's a young woman. She can begin tomorrow. When you have worked and toiled and you get to my age, you know that you no longer have time to begin all over again.
And sometimes even that toiling is you have literally contributed towards where you are.
Exactly.
As a family.
So the thing is that all my youth and my energetic years, I have worked and toiled, and that which you have belongs to us. How do you expect me to walk out and just simply say, oh, God will bless the works of my hands and I'll begin all over again? There is no time. So what happens? This woman has to have a plan. And that plan is I need to be economically empowered as I live. Now, in the absence of a proper judiciary system, people have a tendency to take the law upon their hands. Because even when I go the legal process, it will take me 20 years to get the property. I will make sure that I get it in the manner I know how. I'm not justifying. I'm only saying that this is what causes these murders. Because why should I go to court? It will take me the rest of my lifetime to get this.
And even then, there's no guarantee that you'll get it.
Yes. Okay. And the truth be told, maybe your husband has the ability to corrupt the system, and you end up having to pay your legal fees. You end up being in court every other month and nothing is happening. So this one of the things that needs to happen. The system of justice needs to be absolutely upgraded so that when there is conflict, the parties can be able to have mediation to begin with, not necessarily the full court process, mediation. And when there is mediation, there is an agreement. Nobody should go without a penny because of an end of a relationship. Neither the man nor the woman. They have secure wealth, they have invested, and so they need to be beneficiaries. They will kill because they need the money. They will kill because of infidelity. The infidelity, why they will kill, is because of insecurity that knocks on the door. All of a sudden, somebody has come to steal everything that belonged to you. This person that you have laid in bed with for many years, that you have walked this journey with, all of a sudden has seen someone else, and that's a threat. So the reason that I will defend my territory is because my territory is threatened. Now, if these people live within a society framework that supports them, someone will have noticed that this family is threatened. Someone will be saying they are fighting every night. You know, today you can fight all you want. Your neighbor will not go to the police because the police will do nothing. They will just talk to the other neighbor and say, you know, that family,
it's happening again.
It's happening again. Yeah. Or the worst case scenario, or they make my sleep go every night. But nobody reports this to anyone. And so it continues to happen. I'll ask you, if a brother has committed a murder, 2 days, 3 days, nothing is happening, the person has not been found, and they're in that house, you would ask, what is wrong with that homestead that they cannot see the sign? If a wife has attempted murder, has executed the murder, you would ask, what is wrong within their sphere of influence that nobody knows? Usually, they will speak it. Even a woman can tell her woman friend, you know, I'm so mad, I feel I'm going to kill this man. A man will actually tell the wife, I will kill you. There's a man that always, a story documented. A man always told the wife, I will kill you. And before I do that, I will gouge your eyes off so that no other man will be looking at you and you will never be able to look at another man. And she took it lightly. And he said that every time he was mad. And one day, he literally gouged her eyes out. The woman is still living, but she has to this day, but she has no eyes. She knew it was coming. She suspected it would come.
But she ignored it.
But she ignored it because of love.
All right. We're coming to solutions. Esther, we have, I'll take a call from Lynn in Malindi, but I'd also like to find out from you if our stress levels today have changed or it's just our tolerance levels that have completely gone out of the door. Let's take a call from Lynn in Malindi. Good morning. Lynn in Malindi, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to you.
Yes, good morning. Go right ahead with your question or your comment.
Okay, I think this is a very important issue. And it's not necessarily that it's happening in the society, and many people don't even know that it's happening. And I think what people need to do is to look out for those red flags.
Okay.
As Jennifer has said, when you're dating someone, there are those things that you always ignore. maybe someone has anger issues, someone has trust issues, and so on and so forth. Or maybe there's an underlying factor to that.
Okay. So generally to be more cautious, especially during the dating period.
Yeah, during the dating period is where someone is supposed to look at these things and not overlook them.
Okay.
Because even as I speak to you right now, there's a neighbor of mine here in Malindi who was, actually he married a certain lady who apparently just ran away, and after doing that, he came back and she just took his life. And I think this is something that is happening in the society, and people don't know as such. Unless it is in the limelight, people don't know as such.
All right. Thank you, Lynn. We also have another call. Lillian. Good morning, Lillian.
Morning to you.
Yes, go right ahead.
I think I'd like to say something about infidelity because I'm talking from experience.
Okay.
So I think for me, it doesn't have to do with anger or trust issues, because for you to be violent, someone must have brought it up.
Okay.
And sometimes seeing is believing than hearing, or rather me seeing your text. When I actually find you, then definitely I'll have trust issues.
Okay.
And sometimes for us ladies, we don't want to lower our dignity and go and do the same thing as we've done. So for me, I think like being violent doesn't solve anything.
Doesn't?
It doesn't solve anything.
Okay.
But at the moment, being violent is only a normal thing to do. And after that, you might feel better. And people have different ways of fighting, of reacting back.
Okay, but let me ask you, how did you resolve your situation? You said it's from experience. You did not become violent, did you?
Yeah, actually, I was violent a little bit.
Okay, what's a little bit?
A little bit means you feel bad. You don't throw up things. Actually, I didn't throw up things in the house.
Okay.
And I didn't beat up the lady because I don't know her.
Okay.
Because me beating up the lady then means I'll be beating all the ladies I find with you.
Okay.
And I don't think that's solving a problem. So I was a little bit violent because I gave him some slaps. And actually we fought a little bit, but he wasn't as violent as I was.
Okay.
But it did help me because I solved it by talking to him. And I think what else I can disagree with is the fact that when you get into marriage, when God gives you a sign and you get into marriage, hello?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I'd rather know you while I'm dating you because at least I know you.
Okay.
Than know you later in marriage. Because for me, if I would find him like that, I'm not saying I'd like to, but then the pain would be a little bit less. At least I know my guy.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, fine. Let me take another call. Thank you very much for calling. We appreciate it. Let me take a last call from Shiro in Kayole before we come back to the panel. Good morning, Shiro.
Good morning to you, Mike.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I'm looking at you people talk about how people plan to kill their husbands. And I'm thinking this was me like sometimes last year.
Okay.
And he did some things that really pissed me off. I just started my career and he was not supportive like I have been supportive to him.
Okay.
Okay, I've been married for over 10 years. And for the better part of the marriage, I was a housewife.
Okay.
So when I started my career, I did a diploma in TV and video production. So the job was so demanding, and he wasn't used to that. So it got so bad that.
Sorry, I seem to be losing the signal there, but maybe because of time, we seem to be losing that call. Sorry about that. But let me come back to you, Esther, and listening to even what the previous caller mentioned is that she got a little bit violent. Fortunately, the man was not, because that's now a situation which can go either way. They can both get very violent, and that could end up being another story altogether. Or in this case, at least he managed to contain screen, and as much as she was slapping him, he did not react. Have our tolerance levels reduced, as opposed to, or rather, in conjunction with our stress levels having gone up?
I think our stress levels have gone up, given the modern society that we live in. As Jennifer is saying, in the traditional setup, the woman was a nurturer, the husband was a provider. I think with a lot of modernization and westernization, there's a lot more that each of those parties have to handle with a support system that's also breaking down. So their stress levels go up, but the family-based system keeps thinning, so to speak. We live in Nairobi most of the time. Chances are your whole family is not in Nairobi, and if it is not the full extended family like you'd have in a traditional setup back in the villages. So I think the stress levels have gone up. The tolerance levels depend. That is. I find that easier to explain pegged on. Tolerance level more often goes hand in hand with the amount of knowledge you feel you have, or the amount of information you feel you have. So that if you have more information, like for example, the cases of abuse, spousal abuse, chances are the courts have more of those reported because now people know their rights more. Does that mean in the traditional setup there was no, spousal? There was, yes. But with the more you know, like I said, there's also a sense of a higher sense of personal worth and personal rights. So I think also the more you know and the more you feel your worth, then you tend to tolerate less.
Okay. Yes. Jennifer, as we're winding up because of time, rule of thumb when it comes to a relationship, what are some of the things that we must do to ensure that you don't end up being the victim of a murder of somebody who you once shared a house, a bed, a relationship with?
Well, it's all about awareness. You need to be aware of your environment. You need to be aware of your partner. You need to be aware. Many times, it's the denial mode that many switch on. So I would say that it's okay to be in denial for a little while, but switch back to reality, because the longer you want to bury it under the carpet, the more you want to bury your head in the sand, the worse the situation becomes. It is important to face whatever your challenge is and work towards it. If you recognize that your relationship is challenged, seek help. It's not a weakness to acknowledge that we are struggling. Seek help and find a resolution towards a healthy relationship. Whatever happens, any behavior that is out of the norm ought to be recognized and ought to be dealt with. A relationship with a spouse is intended to be one that is fruitful. People continue to grow, people get better. If it's getting worse, then something needs address.
Okay, and thank you then, Esther, your closing comments on possibly what one needs to look out for.
Expectations. We need to approach life from a level of realistic expectations, where you're not seeking another person to provide what you ought to have on your own, which means, like I said, any relationship is about two whole people. That's physically, mentally, psychologically whole people, so that you're not expecting someone else to make you feel better, so that if they leave, you feel like they've left. Yes, yeah, you're whole. Exactly.
All right, thank you very much, ladies. That's Jennifer Karina, who is the author of Marriage Built to Last and also a relationship coach, and Esther Kinuthia, who's a counseling psychologist. Thank you very much for a wealth of knowledge, which I'm sure is very helpful. And for those of you who are at home, let me just read a few comments. We have Fadhili, who says unemployment, depression, drugs are the main factor. We also have Mlijika, who says, indeed, these fellows are doing a great job to society. That's referring to the comments that you've brought in. Thank you very much. Failure of responsibility by any member of the family. Drugs and depression are a root cause. We also have somebody who says people tend to fall in love with the notion of love, not the person. So, of course, more comments coming in. Thank you so much for your contribution towards that topic, but we'll have to wind it up right there because of time. But do stay with us right here on KTN News. news. We've got some news updates coming up. Then later on, we'll be taking care of your money. Find out where Ashley Mazuri is going to be live, finding out how Kenyans are hustling to ensure that they make an extra coin. Do stay with us right here on Morning Express.